Dunton Locks Pottery is located 2 miles south of Detroit Lakes, off Highway 59 by Dunton Locks Park. Open daily, 11 to 4.
For a closer look at Phil Holton's wood turning, call 346-3860.
The Glass Lady Studio is located in Lake Park, Minnesota at 403 Lake Street. If you'd like more information on classes or custom work, you can give us a call at 218-234-8844.
My name is Mary Lobbs, and I'm here at my shop, Dunton Locks Pottery. This is where I create and display my pottery. I'm located just a couple miles south of Detroit Lakes off Highway 59, right by Dunton Locks County Park. I'm open daily, 11 to 4 through the summer, and then in the fall, on weekends till the snow flies. If you're interested in seeing how I make this pottery, follow me down to my studio and I'll give you some demonstrations. Today we're going to make little tiny vases. I'm going to show, I usually have a large selection of these small vases. They're little bud vases in my studio. And I'm going to show a sample of a couple of them here in my pottery studio today. I'm here sitting at my wheel, and as usual I'm going to go through some of the basics. And for my wheel actually is an electric wheel. This is the foot pedal here, and when I it's just like a car. When I press down on it with my foot, it makes the wheel go. I usually start with all my tools right in the vicinity of where I'm working here. I have water, clean water when I'm making a pot. I usually have warm water because that's nice because the clay is going to be cold. I have some clay balls in a corner over here in a container, and I always keep my clay covered because that keeps the balls nice and moist. I'm going to start with probably 4 of them. We're going to do some demos on here today. I have my tools. I usually, when I make a piece of pottery, I put it on a platter here, and it has a little paper insert here for me to set the clay on, and that keeps it from sticking to the platter. So, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is take a clay ball, and I'm going to pop it right in the middle of my wheel. Now, I'm going to take a look at that. When I'm working at the wheel, I'm always straight above it like this. And I'm making sure that that piece of clay is centered. So I'm going to spin it, and as you can see, it's wobbling a little bit, and that means it is not centered. So I'm always dipping my hands into the water, and that keeps a nice lubrication between my hands and the clay. So now I'm going to press onto the clay, and you notice my hands stop wiggling, and I'm pressing hard. That means the clay is now centered. The smaller the piece of clay, the easier it is to center. Okay, now, what I'm going to do now that that's centered, I have kind of a little mushroom shape there. I'm going to take my thumb and go straight down into the middle of the pot. Now, I press down, but I only got to about this deep in there because I want to make sure that I have a bottom left in the bottom of my pot too. Now what I'm doing is drawing out to the side. So I have kind of a flat bottom in there. And now I have kind of a little donut shape. It's a little donut shape like that of clay. So now what I'm going to do is evenly pull my fingers up. And I'm going to do that a couple times. I push in, and now I'm going to pull up to the side here. And gently applying inward pressure, but not too much because I don't want to go right through the clay. Notice here I'm always dipping my hands into the water. This is a lot of fun to make these small pots because I get to make whatever my whim desires here. Every time I pull up, the pot becomes, or vase in this situation, becomes a little taller. Now, usually what I like to do for these small vases is I like to make a base a little wider because usually there's going to be some water in there, And I want to make sure if there's a little flower or something in the vase that it isn't top heavy. So it should have a little thick or something going on the bottom here to give it a little substantial weight. Okay, now I'm going to take my trimming tool here and I'm just going to slice a little bit of that off. Just where it was real thick on the bottom and my finger just can't quite get down there. Now I'm going to take this wire tool and make sure the wheel is shut down. Add just a little water. Put the wire down, pull. Now there's just a little water in the bottom of the pot here. So what I'm going to do is pick this up. Now usually when I pick up a piece of pottery, I rinse it off and then I dry my hands, because if I don't dry my hands it'll just slip right out of my hands. So this way it will just grab onto the actual piece of pottery, and I'm not applying any pressure to the pot or it'll squish it right in. I'm just applying enough pressure to pick it up. And so I dump out the water. I'm drying my hands off, stop that, and put a little water on here and then wire it off. Pull it off, and I'll let these dry for a little bit. We'll go over to the table and I'm going to show you what I can do with some glazes. Okay, we're here over at the table now and I'm showing you some of the varied shapes and sizes and colors that I create with these small pieces of pottery. These on the turntable here are pieces that have been completely dried, and then I low fire the piece of pottery to about 1800 degrees. I put the glaze on them and then I high fire them to about 2100 degrees. So these are stoneware pots. These are really nice little accent pieces for pretty much anything. They are usable pieces of pottery, so you can fill with water, and they're really nice because the grandkids can pick you some dandelions and you can put them in the vase and display what they've picked for you. So that's kind of nice. And I also use them for things like Q-tips or toothpicks or anything like that. You can use these for. Another different thing that I make out of these small pots, I'll sometimes use these for little tiny bottles. This one here I put a little jug handle on, but these are cute little things too. You can put aspirins in there or whatever. They're just nice little accent bottles. Another variation of these is these cute little treat jars that I make. These are actually, you can see they're just a normal pot on the back here, and then when they're still very soft, I don't let these dry at all, but what I've done here is then I go to put the faces on here. I actually use white clay for the eyes and the teeth, and then I use the different variations. All of these different tan versions here are all, I've added white clay to brown clay to get the different skin tones on the little jars here. And these are great for these, then they have clear glaze on them. They're great for little treat jars or whatnot. And another variation, one last one I do here is this little marbled pot. This is a really pretty piece of pottery because what I've done here is I've taken a small piece of white clay and a small piece of brown clay. I just pop them together on the wheel and I pull it up, and that pattern that you see here, that is from the two clay colors meshing together. And then on the side here, when it was not quite dry, I put a little hole in there, and then it accents this little tiny bead and feather. That's a grouse feather, and that just makes a darling little piece of pottery, nice little accent. Come out to the pottery shop and you can see these and many others. Thanks.
Mary Lobbs lives and works as an artist in the Northwoods of Minnesota. Inspired by nature, all her pottery is wheel-thrown and hand-carved. See these and others at Dunton Locks Pottery.